Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to the IFSC European Youth Bouldering Championships of 2025. We are live from the beautiful venue of aerobia climbing in the commune of Curno in the province of Bergamo. Climbers compete here across 3 age categories, the under-17s, under-19s and under-21s. This is a one-off competition in the IFSC 2025 calendar, and we will crown the European Youth Champions of the bouldering discipline in these 3 age categories. This competition takes place over 4 days. Thursday the 15th and Friday the 16th of May we had the qualification rounds, where 388 athletes descended on aerobia gym here in Bergamo to battle it out across 36 qualification boulders, 12 per category. Yesterday, Saturday the 17th of May, we had the semi-final phase of each category, in which the top 24 athletes from the qualification rounds were put to the test on 4 boulders for a place in today's finals. Today, the athletes each have 4 boulders to solve, again in 4 minutes. And prior to the start of this live stream and the start of these finals, they have made use of an observation period during which they could visualize potential methods for the boulders, which was 8 minutes across all of the boulders which they will be faced with. I'm James Blay of Appiano Distribution Studio, which is the technical sponsor of this competition, and I'm joined by Alex Fry from the UK. Alex is an experienced national route setter, and he is also the owner of Hardwood Holds. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, James. Good to be here.
Yeah, really pleased to have you here for this competition as we enter the second age category of the day. This is the under-21 competition, and we had 44 female athletes and from 22 countries in our qualification rounds, which has now been reduced via the semi-finals to 8 athletes from 7 countries. And in the male category, we had 50 athletes join us in the qualification rounds from 25 different countries, which has again been condensed down to 8 athletes, but just from 6 countries. And as we draw close to the competition, we have a live MC in the building, Simone Reina. He will make the athlete introductions in a moment. The aerobia gym takes its name from the Parco Regionale della Aerobia Bergamaschi, or the Bergamasque Alps in English. It's an alpine mountain region named after the hereby Bergamo, with 32 peaks, 9 passes, lakes, valleys, waterfalls and skiing. We are very close to the Bergamo airport actually, and it's a beautiful destination to visit. So I would encourage you, if you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, put it on your radar. You have a beautiful modern town of Bergamo, and we have Bergamo Alta, which has some very old streets, incredible old buildings, and it's a beautiful place to visit as a tourist, and of course as a climber or outdoor and sports enthusiast. And we're just seeing a few glimpses of the Fazzi team and the team from Aerobia here, who have put so much energy since last Saturday. So we are now 9 days into the preparations, the physical preparations at this gym here of Aerobia. And then we will see the athletes compete on boulders from the right-hand side of the wall to the left-hand side of the wall as the competition progresses. So, without further delay, I will pass you over to Simone Reina, who is a feature of Italian climbing events here in Italy. And in due course, he will make the athlete presentations, and after which Alex and I will join you for the live commentary. Okay, thanks. And Simone, take it away.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the second final round of these European Youth Championships here in Curno, in the Aerobia Stadium. And so let's going to discover who are the athletes that have got the golden ticket for the under-21 category. So let's start with the presentation of the athletes. First athletes, already gold medalist at the European Youth Cup, already European Youth Champion, and bronze medalist at the World Youth Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Spain, Itzar Martinez Almendros. Next athlete, another athlete already bronze medalist at the European Youth Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Israel, Ruby Danzinger. The next one, I've won already 5 times the gold medal in the European Youth Cup, and already been the Vice European Youth Champion, and already got a gold medal in the senior category. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Slovakia, Martina Bursikova. Next athlete, already bronze medalist at the European Youth Cup and European champion in 2021, representing Slovenia, Lina Funa. And let's go on with another gold medalist at the European Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, representing France, Luna Desailly. Next athlete, I've already been European Youth Champion but lead, and today looking for the boulder. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Switzerland, Noé Loser. The next athlete, I've already been Vice Youth World Champion, both lead and boulder. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Ukraine, Anastasia Kobets. And now here we are with the last, aka the best for the semi-final round. Ladies and gentlemen, already gold medal winner at the European Cup and already the World Youth Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, representing France, Lily Abriat. And so after the lady, let's go on with the male category. First athlete, bronze medalist at the European Youth Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Israel, Tomer Yakobovic. Another bronze medalist at the European Youth Cup, this time representing Great Britain, Rhys Conlon. The next one, I've been already a gold medalist in European Cup, Vice European Youth Champion, and bronze medalist at the World Youth Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Bulgaria, Slav Kirov. Going on with a guy that already won twice the gold in European Cup, and has been already the lead European Youth Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Spain, Guillermo Peinado Franganillo. Next athlete is the first and the only one of the Homs athletes. Ladies and gentlemen, already bronze medalist at European Youth Championships, representing Italy, Luca Boldrini. Then going on with the Rainbow Rocket at his first final. Ladies and gentlemen, representing France, Arthur Revolo. And then we are back with a guy that have already been European and World Youth Champion in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Bulgaria, Nikolai Rusev. Now here we are with the last, aka the best for the semi-final round. Ladies and gentlemen, another gold European Youth Cup medalist, representing Israel, Jonathan Katz. And so, ladies and gentlemen, les jeux sont faits. Athletes, this is your audience. Audience, introduce yourself to the athletes, please. Thank you, guys. You come back to the ISO, and then we will start the comp. And so now we will have the classic to let the athletes prepare for the combat. And
So as Simone here fades into the background, we join you again for the live commentary of this under-21 category of boulder here at the European Youth Championships 2025. So we've just seen the athletes announced, and I have to say there's some great camaraderie between the different nations when they joined each other on the mats, Alex. I mean, great to see some fist bumps and some real positive energy between all of the athletes despite their respective teams.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these competitors, they've essentially travelled the world together, stayed in hotels together, had breakfast together, competed together, and obviously they're locked together in isolation for quite a long time during these comps. So yeah, I think they get to know each other, they become good friends, and you can see them during the observation period. Many of them will team up with athletes from other countries to look at the boulders and read them. They all want to win. When they step onto the mats, they're there to do a job, but they're still friends.
Yeah, and effectively they're battling with themselves and with a boulder rather than directly battling each other on a tennis court or in a squash court, for example. So I guess there's a degree of separation there, and everybody is encouraging one another to perform as best they can individually. So yeah, it's great to see that. And then, of course, these athletes that will step out onto the mats in 3 minutes will be entering the competition in reverse order from the place in which they qualified during the semi-finals. So yeah, we might see, I mean, it's not a guarantee of execution in this final round though, is it? I mean, some people may have had a slip and maybe not performed to their best abilities during that semi-final phase. So I would say that anything could happen. And we did see some very impressive tops early on in the competition of the previous age category, which was the under-19s. So yeah, I will be gripped from the word go here, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. This the finals is a clean slate. It's a chance to do it all again. And quite often the semi-final can be a slightly more physical round in a way, as the route setters really want to find out, you know, exactly where the line is. What are these competitors capable of? Because then that allows them to put on a little bit more of a show in finals. They've obviously still got a job to do. They want to separate the competitors, but they want to see boulders get topped, and the crowd want to see boulders get topped.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully, I'm sure that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, I'm sure we are. So we had another low-scoring male semi-finals. I mean, not particularly low, but 2 tops was sufficient to get Toma Jakubovic from Israel through to the finals in 8th position. So just 2 tops and no zones on the other 2 boulders. So he made it through with 49.7 points. Whereas with the women, we had a much higher scoring round, and the lowest scoring athlete in 8th place, Isia Almendros, she managed to score 69.3. And then at the upper end of the competition, we had, in the women's category, Lily Abret from France, scoring with a clean sheet with a flash of every single boulder, clean 100 points. So no deductions for any additional attempts for her. Whereas in comparison, Yonstan Katz from Israel topped the men's field in the semi-finals with 69.5 points. So yeah, we had a very similar situation in the under-19 category. And let's see how this finals progresses. Maybe we'll have a more of an equal output in both the male and female categories.
Yeah, so Lily, in theory, the favourite to take the win, but like I say, we'll see. It's all to play for still.
Unbelievably dominant performance from her in the semi-finals with those 4 flashes of the 4 boulders. And the closest athlete to her was Anastasia from Ukraine with 3 tops in a total of 6 attempts and then 1 zone on the 3rd boulder. So momentarily we will have the 8th placed athletes out onto the mats. Isia Almendros from Spain for the women, and Toma Jakubovic from Israel for the men. We do have another window of 4 minutes to play with, so we've just reset the clock for those athletes, and believe they will be stepping out to the mats after that time has elapsed. So we've got very similar boulders here from the previous under-19 rounds. There's maybe been a slight tweak on a few of them to moderate the difficulty level based on the capabilities of this field of athletes in the under-21 categories. So, did you notice anything in particular, or should we go boulder by boulder as the comp progresses?
So when I stepped out, the route setters were the only boulder that they were actively working on was women's number 4, where I think they were just playing with a blocker a little bit. Certainly, there's no significant changes. I couldn't see much else on anything else. The route setters have gone out and given the holds a bit of a brush, polish up the dual text a little bit.
Yep. Keep the materials looking beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a beautiful set of boulders to observe, and we've had the benefit of watching one series of athletes, and as have the route setters. So Andy Matuska and his team have had a series of climbers in the under-19 category already step out onto the mats and test themselves on these boulders. So ultimately they have got a lot of information to then moderate anything or adapt to anything that they do feel necessary for this under-21 category, perhaps making it a little more difficult. And then it will be a level playing field, of course, for those under-21 athletes, and they've been secured in isolation to ensure that they don't take on any information from coaches or from teammates who have competed in the prior competition. So isolation here, where we are placed in a separate training room of Aerobia Climbing in Bergamo, has been a hive of activity for the last 3 hours, and we only had a 30-minute pause in between the prior group finishing and the next competition starting. And we will just focus in on some of the boulders. So this is women's 1, which is the initial slab boulder for the ladies, moving from left to right across the wall. And main consideration for me is how the arete is taped off, so they will not be allowed to place a hand or a foot around the right hand corner, which we can see as we pan up to the top of the boulder.
Yeah, quite a balancy boulder, very much on your feet. There are a couple of handholds on the boulder, but none of them very good. So the key to this, really keeping your weight on your feet, and looks like a couple of quite tenuous foot swaps. This is men's 1, quite a similar situation at the start, very much on your feet, but then the top of the boulder, much more physical, kind of wrestling a little bit with this big fiberglass you can see and the small zone hold next to it before a sort of powerful dynamic move into the top hold. So definitely a switch of styles. You go from very, very balancy to all of a sudden having to pull quite hard.
Yeah, we saw a slow start on this boulder from previous athletes, didn't we? And then a very fast finish, very powerful finish, and the sort of decisive movement to that last hexagonal volume seemed to be, the requirement seemed to be to get your center of gravity, to get your mass really high, so that your chest was above the sort of crest of the volume, so that you had sufficient time maybe to grasp that volume left and right with both hands in the correct position, and then create compression through the volume. And that is effectively, with that and your foot remaining on the hold below, it was sufficient to top the boulder.
Yeah, it's essentially closer to an undercut, the finishing hold.
Yeah,
not quite a strict undercut, but certainly you want to be up high in it and driving through the feet. So you see Izia of Spain stepping onto women's number 1 to start off this final. So this is looks like a step across that's not too bad, but now a movement where really big drive through the feet, not an awful lot for the hands. She's opting to step down quite low, pull herself across.
Nice progress.
Yeah.
Really nice progress on the first attempt.
Yeah.
Toma on the left-hand side of the screen, choosing to sink very low before extending up now to this vertical crimp with his left hand, and he's off the wall.
Yeah, that crimp is a good hold. It's a very, very positive hold. It's possibly what was almost can work against you, as you know, if you're tempted to grab hold of it and start pulling on it, you pull yourself off the boulder.
Yeah.
You need to really set the feet high up on this triangular volume to the left before moving up to the big fiberglass that you can see just above his head.
Now he's choosing to move to that with his right hand on this attempt.
Yeah.
So sort of getting a bit of a flag position, but with his feet in contact with the wall, and now he's switched back to the left hand. I really like that. You know, from previous attempts in the previous category, I mean, he is looking very confident throughout all of the movements in this early section of the boulder.
Yeah, a little wobble on the first go, but he's getting set up, although I think that's not going to work. Famous last words. But yeah, there we go. He moves back over to the left, so now he's in a position to go for this last move. So can he do the last move?
Wow, choosing to go with both feet and just with one hand to the final hold.
Yeah,
I think that would be a big ask of him to hold that final position with that method.
Have seen one athlete in the previous round do it that way, but pretty much everyone else was jumping up with two hands. So is he in position to set up for this finishing move?
Oh, beautiful.
There we go. Well done.
Seemed to be just at the limit of her extension there, and she was accurate, but I was fearful for her in that final moment. It did look like she might not have stayed into the wall sufficiently, and it did look like she might fall short, but nope. Excellent execution for that final move, and she tops the boulder. That's our first top in this finals.
Yeah, very much seems the theme of that boulder is just trying to tip you rightwards on every single move. And even though the finishing hold is a pretty good hold, I mean, for comparison, it's the sort of hold that the route setters would quite often put in a roof section for people to be swinging around on one arm, but it's sort of placed round the corner, so even as you're moving up to it, you're barn dooring rightwards towards this arête that you're also not allowed to cross.
Yeah, that barn door is, you know, you're really fighting that, aren't you? And to describe that, it's effectively when the athletes have points of contact in the wall that are in a very similar vertical line, and so you don't have much outside of a very central line to sort of fight the rotation leftwards or rightwards that you might experience, kind of like a door on its hinges, you know, which might swing from left to right depending on how it's mounted.
So, Tomer setting up for this last move again. So is he going to go with two hands this time or try and stay with the one?
Stays
with the one.
Yeah, and he's just out of time there. That was his last attempt. 5 seconds left on the clock. I mean, he looked excellent on that boulder. I really liked the way he climbed, sinking low, but then comfortably standing up straight. Once he'd worked out the sequence on the crimps, it didn't seem an issue for him to repeat it, but just not finding a method to top the boulder.
Quite a change in styles between the first half and the second half. So perhaps the style that he's a little bit more comfortable on at the start. And obviously these athletes have done quite a lot of climbing by this point. They've gone through a qualification round and for the guys a particularly brutal semi-final round.
Good
so
point.
These really powerful moves, you know, they're going to feel quite hard now after third day of climbing.
Absolutely. So now we welcome Rhys Conlon to the mats from Great Britain on men's one, and we welcome Ruby Danziger from Israel on women's one.
So Rhys getting well established on the start of this boulder, and then just doing this very delicate stand-up. Not really any handholds, sort of palming on the underside of that volume to get himself set up. But yeah, it's pretty borderline as to whether I would describe that as a handhold or just using it to keep yourself in balance. He seems to have found a thumb in a screw hole, I think, on that foothold.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
sort of fast execution of that.
Yeah, I thought he was maybe going to manage to hold on to that.
Yeah, Rhys being a powerful climber, if he could get the opposition on that red volume, then he might be able to oppose it. Yeah, both athletes off the wall just simultaneously. As Rhys prepares for another go.
We'll see if Rhys has been scored the zone for that. It was kind of sort of an all-in one movement as he was falling off. So I think he probably won't have been awarded that. He did get his hand on it, but kind of in the process of falling off.
So Ruby stepping up into this sort of second section of climbing in women's one. And this is where she is in this very narrow position. You know, all points of contact are in a very straight line. She doesn't have a foot out to her side, left or right, to balance herself. So everything is trying to swing you off the wall. Your equilibrium is really put to the test. You're choosing to use that left hand out high to oppose her right hand that's on the crimp, and she's setting up beautifully for the top here. Oh, that didn't look in any doubt. Once she was set, she went. And yeah, giving a bit of a showboat to the crowd, wanting to hear a reaction from her fellow teammates perhaps, or the entire crowd here at Aerobia in Bergamo, as Reese remains on the wall and takes that left hand crimp in. Good control.
Yeah, there we go. So now can he score the zone?
Excellent. Adjusting on that.
Okay, so he's now got a score on this boulder. See if he can set up for the finishing move.
Oh, he's just had a slip there.
Just held it.
Oh, it looked like he might have been off the wall, but he's taken the top. Fantastic. That little slip just did not seem to phase him, and he's managed to power up to the top of the boulder. Congratulations to Reese.
Yeah, he'll be pleased with that.
So first top on men's one in this category. Yeah, excellent climbing from Reese. And then, yeah, tentative work here. But then, yeah, final move, looked very confident, had the line and the length, no issues. And then, yeah, a little bit of a Hulk Hogan. Can I hear you? Great stuff from Reese. Yeah, really had margin to play with, didn't he, on the distance for that?
And that's how we've seen by far the most success on that move, is going either as a very quick 1-2 or straight up with two hands. A few athletes attempting to sort of pivot on the right foot and just go up with one hand, but only one athlete actually being able to make that work.
So let's welcome out onto the mats Martina Bersikova from Slovakia and Slav Kirov from Bulgaria as our first athletes will tackle with men's 2 and women's 2 simultaneously. So eventually we will have climbers on all 4 of these boulders in this finals of the under-21 category. And we see Slav's first action here on men's 1. Very powerful climber, Slav from Bulgaria, but he seems to be managing to stay in balance beautifully on this men's slab.
So this is the other way we've seen this done, using the sort of right hand over and the left hand down on the volume to oppose it, whilst over on men's number 2, I believe that is a flash for Tomo.
Absolutely. First go, first send on men's 2.
Good progress on women's number 2. And we've seen this top section in the previous round to be quite difficult to move the left foot in. A lot of athletes struggling with that, and then the match not being a given, although she makes that look easy.
Yeah, Izzyar's managed beautifully there. You could see her transitioning from holding those 2 curved art line volumes as undercuts and then transitioning them to heel presses, or pressing with the heel of her hand downwards to then finally move her left foot up into position.
Okay, so Slav through the balancey section and moving into the section that I think he'll prefer.
Oh, just not finding his enough of that hold underneath his fingertips for his left hand there. And it's rather frustrating hold to take, I think. I mean, most of the athletes from the previous category were taking exactly the same part that Slav is, and it's almost looks as if that hold's been used to block the larger hold, but ultimately it offers the best option for the left hand. And Slav just using it, but not finding enough of it under his fingertips on that attempt. So let's see how he gets on his next game.
So the hold that's been placed in front of it makes it very slightly blinder, but I suspect that the main reason it's been put there is to stop the left foot from pushing on the top of it. Because it is actually it's dual text, but it is quite a positive crimp. And you know, these athletes, they can use anything as a foothold. So the route set is just trying to force this final movement a little bit more, keep it dynamic, and stop them from clawing in on that hold with the left foot.
Meanwhile, Martina on the right-hand side of your screens, just struggling with this.
Slav struggling to move the feet up there, so opting to jump from low.
Oh, Martina looking good here. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Very comfortable top.
It's almost like she didn't move as fast as she needed to. Yeah, she obviously felt so comfortable on that she didn't seem to move with too much conviction to the last hold, but it was plenty to take that pocket. Obviously that pocket a little bit awkward to move into with your fingertips because nature of any pocket, it's surrounded on all sides by material, so you have to be fairly accurate, but it's a good one. It's a good pocket, and if you're in it, you should hold it. Even if you lost your feet at that point, I would put money on people holding it.
Yeah, the difficulty, I think, if you lost your feet too much on it, would be whether you would clatter around the arete a little bit, which would put you out of bounds.
But you are moving leftwards at that point. And with the arete on your right-hand side, yeah, maybe if your foot did something, you might put part of yourself out of bounds.
Oh,
I thought he'd done enough there. Yeah, I thought he'd done enough, but he's not looking really comfortable on that right foot. And
seems like he's really struggling to place the right foot.
Yeah, not a definitive edge on that foothold. It is just a mound of red plastic underneath your foot. So if you don't feel that peak of the hold underneath your foot and you don't feel so secure on it, it's obviously been enough to make him disconcerted in his effort at the final move on at least 2 occasions. So unfortunately Slav just leaves the mats with a zone on that boulder. And meanwhile we welcome Guillermo Franginillo from Spain in the men's category and Lena Funa from Slovenia for the women. And we'll see the second athletes attempt men's 2 and women's 2 as we see Reese power through the start of this boulder and place his heel round the corner before sort of moving up into the arete. Wow, he's gone past that initial hold, choosing to go to the zone with his right hand.
What we've seen a number of the athletes do in the previous round is go over to that hold with the right hand and then take the undercut with the left, but then come back down to the undercut, match it and move the left hand up. So what we would call a clock sequence.
Is that just to secure the zone, or do you think it offers you some benefits in terms of the way you set up for the next part of the climb?
So the undercut is completely smooth, no texture, and at that point it's sort of relatively high in front of you. So I think doing that sequence allows you to move your body up higher before you take the undercut. So you can see now in Reese that it's right in front of his face.
Nice.
So coming to the other hand would be hard. So I think he's going to drop the right hand back down, perhaps, or maybe opt to big move right hand again. Okay.
So Reese might not have seen that sequence yet, and he didn't spend a moment looking at that undercut for the right hand. He was peering around the corner, looking high on the penultimate black shape, which has that purple screw on at the very end of it. And he was just eyeing up the move again with his right hand, was he not?
Yeah, and Reese, a good lead climber, trains a lot of lead, and actually that style of boulder, it's not really too much coordination. It's quite steep and quite powerful, so it requires a lot of endurance. And the lead climbers actually quite often do quite well with that sort of boulder. It does fit the style of training that they do a lot. So hopefully he'll be able to make some more progress on that.
Reese is back on the wall, up high to that crimp, which is the zone of the problem. And he's seen the left undercut, as he has done before, and used it. Let's see if he adapts or if he sticks with this big, powerful move up again with his right. Well, he's going to try and match the crimp.
That's a good shot, that, you can see.
Wow, okay.
2 fingers.
So he knows he needs the lower undercut with his right hand, and he knows he needs his left hand higher now. He's decided that. And he's chosen a very strenuous, very finger-intensive method to try and establish that position on the wall. Let's see if he sticks with that in his next attempt.
So meanwhile, on boulder number 1, Lena. So she has got to the zone before. Yeah, struggling to make too much progress past that. Guillermo securing the jump into the zone. So now setting up for this final move. Interesting method there, actually taking the right hand completely off.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Didn't even manage to wrap the wooden volume with his hands. He just compressed it with the palms out wide.
Yeah. Okay, so Reese doing the clock sequence, going back 18 seconds.
Oh no! He's dropped the last move. That's really frustrating for Reese. I mean, that last hold is completely smooth, but it's big.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised he's dropped that, you know.
It's that lack of texture. I think if you've got too much of a swing on, you just slide along it, he'll be frustrated with that. And we see this replay, Guillermo, just pure compression, almost no fingers being used on the left hand, just the palms squeezing.
Pure stick of the hands.
Yeah, as he caught it.
So now we welcome the athletes that qualified in 4th, and we will welcome our first Italian athlete, Luca Boldrini, to the mats on men's 1, and Luna Deschez from France, who qualified in 4th in the women's category on women's 1.
So Luca stepping on and then almost stepping straight off.
There's some good action on the left-hand side of our screens on the men's 3rd boulder already.
Slav.
Wow. Slav at home on that overhanging arete that he's just climbed. Not posing any problem for him. He's climbed that inside 45 seconds, giving himself 3 extra minutes of rest as he walks off the mats.
I think boulder number 1 is possibly going to come back to haunt him a little bit though.
Yeah, let's see how the other athletes do. I mean, Reese managed boulder number 1 in good style, but then didn't manage to close boulder number 2 despite coming very close. Yeah, interesting competition for the men already developing.
Got some feet first action in the roof on women's number 3.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so quite involved this section. There's some small screw-ons on the back of that orange contact fiberglass, but a lot of time spent turning around and moving the feet. So really draining boulder, having to just be pulling really hard in the roof for quite a long period of time before setting up for quite a big move to a very small slot in the end with a slopey hold that's been like blocked really tightly with another hold.
So Luna Deschez, France, looking quite confident in this position, just having to transition into the very narrow climbing, almost the kind of climbing that you find on a arete, but without the arete being used.
Delicate foot swap, opting to stand on the top of that handhold.
Nicely done. Nicely climbed.
Standing on the dual-tex part of that small handhold, which just does go to show what these athletes can stand on. That's why the route setters make these footholds so small. Modern rock boots and the skill of these athletes combined means they can use almost anything.
We just get a close-up on Luca's feet as he sets off on men's 1. He's only got a minute and change left, so Luca really needs to make some progress on this boulder.
Yeah, he's really struggling with the start move on this.
Yeah, he's quite a tall young man. I wonder if that's posing a bit more of a challenge for him. Let's see, this Israeli athlete. Working hard on men's 3. Very dynamic start to that boulder. We've seen people catch that dynamic dyno with one hand or 2. There's definitely a couple of different ways you could achieve making that movement, but you know, dying seconds of these attempts now. We've got 30 seconds left on the clock. He's going with one hand and then planting the foot, not adapting his technique in any way. Same again, and just at the peak of the swing, he's just losing that hold, is he not? Just not got enough to control the swing, and his momentum's carrying him off the wall. And as you're repeating the same movement, you're using the same muscles in the same way, and if you're having very succession of very fast attempts and it's requiring a lot more force than you're generating, yeah, him just seeming to be a little bit drained and not expecting those moves to go any better if you're having so many quick attempts one after the other. So we will welcome the athletes that qualified in 3rd place. In the ladies category, we have Noé Lucer from Switzerland.
Representing Switzerland, we have Noé Lucer, and representing France, Arthur Rebolo.
And for France, Arthur Rebolo will step out onto the mats just as he brushes the holds on men's 1.
On the bullet number 2, and Ruby Datzinger on the
Guillermo, how do you think he'll get on this? Do you think this could be a flash?
It's a very confident start, just straight on, didn't waste any time. He's looking good on this, so he's opting for that clock sequence, dropping back down.
Great experience.
Setting up for the last move, and
wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I was about to say he's cruising it, and then he looked like he might have been swinging
Looked like
off,
he might have
and
dropped it, yeah.
And then but nah.
Managed to bring
Always
his
in
right hand
control.
up to match the final hold in good time, and maybe his rotation was carrying him off, but yeah, he got the right hand there in time to control the last hold in good fashion, something that Reese just couldn't manage.
So Arthur on boulder number 1, slightly different sequence with the left foot there, so opting to, instead of standing on the volume, trying to put his foot right up around the corner onto the foothold to control that barn door. So that's the foothold that the athletes are using in order to secure the zone. So it is kind of positioned to sort of favour the left foot clawing on the left-hand side of it. So
Noé is sinking very low here and using an undercut of one of these volumes mounted to sort of move steadily into the vertical, or the initiation of the vertical holds on the right-hand side of this boulder. Yeah, interesting technique there, but it seems to be working for her as she sort of stretches out towards the zone. Beautiful foot swap. And just overbalancing slightly. So she has the zone in her left hand now. She move into this vertical section of climbing, which sort of hugs the arête of the wall on the right hand side here.
Bit of a foot swap masterclass
Wow.
on this boulder.
Just watching Arthur look very casual in that position, choosing to go for the top with 2 hands. I mean, that is the most confident end of that boulder I think I've witnessed. Great work from him.
Has taken him a few goes. I think we'll see the scores updated in a second. I think that's it's his second go.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, we're quite far into it, so he's presumably taken a good long rest. Maybe had quite a close attempt, but still didn't manage the zone on the first attempt.
I think the start of that boulder is hard to do fast.
Yeah, and if you're confident on your feet, you can take the time, can't you, to calculate what your next move might be, or maybe try something, feel your balance going, and return to a more safe position and try something else.
Reese looking close on this jump, on the far
on the
left
far
of the
side.
screen.
Yeah.
He is running short on time. It's quite a difficult move to just, be trying every few seconds.
Noé looking tentative here.
Yeah.
She's got the zone again. Let's see if she adapts her methodology. Okay, so using the heel of her hand to oppose the left crimp, which she has in her hand. Oh wow, trying a very fast sequence to sort of leap up onto that final little black screw on that's at the top of the volume, and then leap for the final pocket, but just, not close.
I think she knew she was falling off, so sort of thought might as well go for it.
Yep, throw some energy at it, and let's see if we can make something of this attempt before the clock runs out. So we will welcome the athletes that qualified in second to the mats momentarily. We have Anastasia Kubets from Ukraine and Nikolai Rusiev from Bulgaria, one of Slav's compatriots, stepping out to the mat. Just catching a replay there of Guillermo's flash on men's 2, and then this top here. Look at this.
Yeah.
What composure.
Yeah, and I think that's why the route setters have put that blocker to try and make what he was doing with his left foot a bit harder.
So we have Luca Boldrini in the steep section of the wall, just off centre left, trying to go again with his right hand to that small crimp, which is the last remaining hold with texture on the boulder before he must move up to the slippy finishing hold. And then we have some amazing work here from Luna Deschez from France on women's 2. She seems to have found the sequence at the start of the boulder very quickly.
Yeah, different sequence on the last move than what we've seen. So she put her right foot up by her right hand, whereas we've seen the other athletes always putting their left foot by their left hand.
Oh, this is amazing work on men's 4. Tomer looking very confident in that swing. You know, very early in his session as well, with only one minute and change has elapsed. He's already worked out how to do that first swing and get himself across the wall to the right-hand side, as Mr. Boldrini is back in play and manages to land the crimp and close his crimp on that hold. Yeah, looking strong there, Luca. Excellent work from him. Great to see a top from an Italian athlete here. Bravissimo.
Slav through the dynamic move on the start of men's 3. So this is quite a hard punch in with the left hand here.
Oh, Slav looks in too much tension in that position. He looks to be really fighting to hold that position on the wall. Doesn't look like a good, confident body language that he could move from in a good, powerful fashion. Seems a little bit insecure there.
Yeah, we've seen, so with the previous round, the method that seemed to work on that was actually to get the left foot in by the left hand, so that when you hit that undercut, you can really drive through that left foot, as well as pushing the right foot on the volume. But he looked like he was struggling just to be in the position, perhaps a bit out of energy.
Anastasia looking very cautious here on women's 1, as she tries to stretch out to the zone in balance, and she manages it. Yeah, immediately pulling a weight up on that zone hold. She's in the top left of your screen as we focus back in on Slav, who's back in this sort of tense posture in the middle of the wall. Yeah, he again doesn't look that comfortable, as Anastasia is still on her attempt in which she secured the zone. She now has it with 2 hands as she moves up and right closer to the arete, and now with the difficulty of staying in balance and not sort of barn dooring or rotating around that center line and sort of falling off. She's kept it.
Here we go.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice finish from Anastasia. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Yeah, she spent a lot of time on that attempt, but it's paid off. You know, she only has 40 seconds left if she didn't manage it, so she would have had to rush through the start. So great climbing from her.
Izzy there, just falling off the last move of women's number 4. This was one of the things that did see the route setters fiddling with slightly, was the hold that she has with her right hand, just playing with the blockers. I think they've changed it from really bad to even more really bad.
6 seconds left for Nikolai Rusiev, Slav's compatriot from Bulgaria, and he's managed to top on men's 1. That keeps him in the runnings. That's after only 5 attempts.
It's in the nick of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is Luca Boldrini's top on men's 2. Yeah, he's got time to play with there, you know, to place his feet and comfortably make the top. Good effort from him. And now we welcome our last athletes to the wall. We have Jonathan Katz from Israel in the men's category, and we have our athlete from France, Lily Abreit, who qualified for this competition in first place with a clean sheet, 4 flashes and 100 points.
See a quick replay of Slav on the of Nikolai, apologies, on the last move, boulder number 1. And we think that this boulder number 1 for the men is probably quite a key boulder if you want to make podium in this competition.
So on the right hand side of our screens, Jonathan already making use of 1 attempt and stepping off before pulling on again for his second. We'll focus in on the steepest section of the wall with Lena Funa from Slovenia, as she's making excellent progress on this boulder, but just falls quite short of that powerful move up to the blue volume, but is really quite blocked. Intrigued to see what's happening on the right hand side of our screen. Lily Abbret from France just taking a long time to analyse the sequence on this slab before pulling on.
Jonathan setting up for the finishing move. He's made quite quick progress on this boulder. So is he going to go with two hands? Oh yes, just. And again, I think that right hand, again, just kind of compressing on the side, not getting into the good bit of the hold, but he managed to make it work.
So Lily's made beautifully controlled progress across this boulder. She chose a very fast method at the start and almost looked as if she caught a left toe hook to stabilise her as she moved quickly across to the right-hand side of the wall. And now she looks in very good balance as she works towards the top of that boulder.
Top for Guillermo. I think.
Lily's off. So that attempt didn't work. That was her second attempt. She did secure the zone. So she's already off to a start with a 9.8 score.
Artur setting up for the last move.
Wow. Again, similar to Luca, controlling that really well and having the choice to place his feet before matching the finishing hold.
So it's 2 boulders, 2 tops for Artur. Puts him in a good place.
Yep, he's fighting for a win, isn't he?
Come on, Lina.
So we have Lily Abbret back on the wall, looking to solve the last move of this boulder and doing it in style. So that looks like it was her third attempt, and she finally manages a top.
Yeah. First time she's fallen off in a while after a performance in semi-finals.
So she scores 24.7, and that keeps her in the runnings with the top 5, the top 6 athletes, including her, having managed to top the first boulder in the women's competition. So Rees on the last boulder of his competition, fighting to get a second top. Can he find the sequence? He's not got much time left, but he's over right and he's on the zone. This move will suit him, surely. Oh, that looked close. We've got the top of that hole just obscured from view, but there is texture up there. I mean, it is a round sloper, but he's on vertical territory, so I would have thought he might have held that, but unfortunately not.
Yeah, it's good showing from Rees. I think, unfortunately, he's probably not done quite enough. I think not getting a top on boulder number 2 in particular.
Yeah, that looked like it suited him, and he just didn't. I mean, he was invested in methodology that just didn't quite work in the first couple of 3 goes, was he not? And then eventually, when he worked it out, he was maybe out of power or out of time.
This is a quick replay of Guillermo's top there on number 3, which means he's currently sat in first place with 3 tops, but he is also we've got a number of competitors behind him, so that position can change quite easily. In particular, Artur with 2 tops and yet to attempt boulder number 3.
So we're straight into the action on this next phase with Nikolai Rusiev, Slav's compatriot, managing to make an extremely fast top of that boulder. So 40 seconds elapsed and he's already done. Back for a rest for him.
Yeah, some of the athletes really liking that boulder.
Yeah.
Just straight out, no hesitation, straight to the top. I mean, he was on the mats for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a walkout from the isolation, is it not, to that boulder? So, I mean, maybe he's had the benefit of reading that boulder with Slav, so they've played with some ideas. Maybe Slav, having tried it prior to him, he's shared some insights, and he's obviously known exactly what he's doing, and it's worked beautifully.
I think some boulders, it's hard to overcome mistakes through strength, whereas I suspect that second one, if you're strong enough, you can just kind of overpower it, and it very much looked like that's what he did. It's quite a statement to walk back into isolation with hardly having left it 30 seconds ago.
Yeah. Luca Baldrini to the right of the screens, looking for that dynamic move, or looking to close that dynamic move of men's 3 with 2 hands. So quite a safe bet. I would hope that now that he's read that so early on, he might have the opportunity to make that move and make his way further up into the climb. Luca has 1 top on men's 2, and a top on this boulder would really shoot him up the leaderboard towards the top 3.
Anastasia setting up for this finishing move. Okay, so she's going right foot as well. Yeah, okay, left foot now. And this is the method that we've seen work. And then now the right foot in for the match, making that look very comfortable.
Yeah, she looks quite relieved there.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that, her eyes seem to say, as she goes off shaking her hands. I mean, she's got plenty of time left, but you don't really want another long attempt on that boulder. It does seem like quite a tough one.
Yeah, and she's got quite a physical boulder to come out to next, probably the most physical one. So all the more rest she can have, the better position she'll be to perform on number 3.
Yeah, we can see women's 3 here clearly in shot with the orange and blue, and it's moved. You have to move through the steepest part of the wall here. So it seems to be even steeper than the men's boulder to the right of it, and you're really having to take most of your weight on your hands here.
Yeah, and really draining this section. A lot of fiddling around, being in tension the whole time. You can see she's fighting the whole time, and then this is quite a blind hold that you go into.
Yeah, quite a blind hold. You know, potential for you to catch your thighs on the underturned orange volume that you've just left. Got to really overpower that move to make sure you get the distance. She's chosen to step away from the match with only 10 seconds left, which is a sensible choice yet. Not enough time to do any more damage on that boulder. So we'll just catch a replay here of this very fast flash, just in case you missed it. 40 seconds on the mat, and Nikolai managed to crush men's 2. Yeah, and that left foot, like you said, just leaning out with the left hand. Excellent work.
That means 2 boulders, 2 tops, so she's in a good position for when she comes back out to number 3.
So Lily out on the second women's boulder, just having an attempt. Bit of a swing and a miss there. She obviously thinks that sloper needs some attention, not getting as much from it as she'd hoped when she first pulled on. So she's managed to send the first boulder. Let's see how she gets on the second.
So I'm really curious of the athletes. Obviously, we have to keep an eye to Lily Avriat, one of the best athletes in the game. Approaching now the wall for the boulder number 2. And now here we are, Lily Avriat, boulder number 2.
Okay, so we just had, coming into our headsets, there's been I think a slight issue on boulder number 4. Not entirely sure what's going on with that.
Yeah, we'll report back to you shortly on that. Meanwhile, with Lily, she has made great progress after brushing that sloper, and she's towards the top of this boulder. This doesn't look in any doubt, provided her feet don't slip. Yeah, calm, cool, and collected for that top. Yep, second boulder, second send for her.
She looks relieved. She heads back into ISO.
Yeah, it looks like she feels like she could have executed that sooner, no?
Yeah, I wonder if she was frustrated with falling off on the first time.
Yeah, once you find a way to do something and execute it in good style, you always think it's the kind of thing you could have done immediately, but you know, there's many variables here, so she shouldn't be too hard on herself.
Slab, set it to, he's got the zone, setting up for this second dynamic move. Yeah, and we've seen, so that hold that he's going to is basically a slopey undercut. The top of it was just no texture, pretty slopey. So the grippier part of the hold is a right-hand undercut. We have seen one athlete managing to jump all the way to the top on that move. Meanwhile, Lena setting up for the final move on women's number 4. And this definitely looks like one of the hardest boulders for the women. In the previous round, we've got very few tops.
Lena managing to score the zone there, which has just bumped her up into 6th place, but she's definitely not safe there. I feel like Noe might surpass her, as she's just working on women's 3. So a top for Lena on this would go a long way. Might help her climb out of the bottom half of this leaderboard for the women.
A good close-up look at the start of women's number 3, the steep roof. Most physical boulder for the women.
Slav really initiating his swing on the far side of the wall there. Here he is. Oh, nicely done. Beautiful transitional weight from left to right.
He's got time to do this. Yeah, there we go.
Excellent. So he's used his right foot out wide right to control it, and he knows that's his last boulder, and he has secured a top. He's very pleased to do that.
So that puts him in a good position at the moment, but with some more athletes to come, I think there's a good chance that he might get pushed off.
Yeah, we have Arthur Rebolo from France, who still has boulders 3 and 4 to go. We have Nikolai Rusiev, of course, Slav's compatriot, with boulders 3 and 4 to go. And we also have Jonathan Katz. So, yeah, Slav safe in 2nd for now. But let's see how things play out with these athletes stepping out to the mats in due course.
We have Anastasia Kovets on the boulder number 3 and Luna Desai on the boulder number 4.
Already a higher scoring round than the men's semi-finals as we expected. A bit more activity higher up in these boulders, and a few more points being awarded for more tops, which is great to see. But still a very competitive competition. As we have Jonathan Katz, taking a flash on this boulder with another 40-second send. Very similar to Nikolai. Impressive. That puts the heat on at the top of the leaderboard.
And that was him on men's number 2, whereas we are finished with women's number 2. So I think that is probably relates to what we were being told in our headsets. They had some sort of a technical where the men's rotation was paused slightly, which is why we had a male athlete on boulder number 2, but not a female athlete on their boulder number 2. So we might just be one athlete behind in the men's compared to the women's.
So Monsieur Rebolo making the first move, or the first dynamic move on this men's 3. In good fashion.
Can he bring his left foot up to buy his left hand here?
Oh wow, just crossing through, leaving his feet low and crossing through. Very powerful climbing, but he's honestly not made that look very powerful. I mean, if he climbed that individually without the perspective of seeing these other athletes on the wall, you know, you wouldn't know how hard that was.
Looked to me like he was putting a lot of tension in holding that position. You could see his whole body went rigid.
Yeah.
I think he was, if those footholds were a couple of centimetres lower, be interested to see if he could have held that.
Yeah, or a few degrees shallower.
Yeah, but no, that's a really strong effort from him.
He's now lying in 2nd place with 3 tops, and Guillermo lies in 1st with 3 tops and 1 zone, which is on this boulder. We are with him live now on the far left-hand side of the screen, and he has the opportunity to close this competition for him with 4 tops. We've got a minute and change remaining. Can Guillermo make it 4 tops and really secure his place, leaving something significant for Arthur from France to fight against? Luna just not managing that dynamic move.
You can hear the MC giving Guillermo some encouragement in his home language. 1 minute remaining. So So he's got time to do this.
Come on, Guillermo.
He's probably got time for one more attempt. It is a very fast boulder, but it'll be a good effort.
Yeah, I hope he can initiate sufficient swing at the start, as Anastasia just has a really good effort at that move around the lip of the roof. Wow, this is fast work. Luna, yeah, trying with the two hands to the round volume towards the top of the wall, but remember, she did need to go again with another hand to the final hold, which is placed directly above it.
Guillermo not quite managing to find a top on boulder number 5. I think he managed to secure the zone hold.
Yep.
At least an extra 2 times in the last 40 seconds.
Yeah.
But not managing to make that last move work. So currently he's sitting in first place. But
if Arthur Robolo flashes to the zone, securing 10 points, then that would shoot him above Guillermo. So Arthur sits with 74.6 and Guillermo sits with 83.8.
Yeah, which I think means Arturo has potentially 7 or 8 attempts to make the zone hold in order to take that first place, although more athletes behind him. But meanwhile, this is, I think, the first time we've seen this move stuck on women's number 3.
Lily looking good here.
Okay,
So excellent. She looks very happy with that. You know, I mean, making. Yeah, maybe she. Yeah, I think we were right in reading her expressions on the previous boulder. She looked pretty disappointed she didn't flash the previous boulder. So, making up for it with that climb.
And I wonder if she knows how significant that one is for her in the standings.
Yeah, so with only 3 boulders elapsed, she has 3 sends, and she is sitting at the top of the leaderboard in the women's category.
Yeah, that puts her in a really strong position, really hard to beat now.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, Anastasia can put the heat on, and she can also move from 3rd to 2nd in her attempts on the 4th boulder. But Lily's looking in a really good position for the win here.
Nikolai looking strong on that first move. Almost made it, but a little bit, not quite in slow motion, but that hard hand flip. So is he going to go for the low power method?
Jumped into it. Yeah, that's a method we've seen on this boulder with dynamic nature, sort of choosing to go footless and jump into it so that your body rotates round and you get the best possible angle out of that left hand hold. I mean, he's made that movement in really good fashion, and the top was just a formality.
Yeah, quite a statement, which essentially means there's a lot to play for now. So on boulder number 4, Artur and Nikolai will be fighting it out for first place as it stands at the moment.
So we have Luca Baldrini giving us a look at men's 4 here. He really struggled on the first slab, did he not? So, I mean, you are basically swinging into a slab climb, and so you've got a dynamic nature to even get established in the slab. So yeah, just setting off again, getting that momentum. And he's choosing this physical method, or trying this physical method of maybe stopping on that first foothold. I mean, we have seen an athlete successfully make a sort of splits between that first foothold with the right and the initiating or the initial handhold that he has now with 2 hands with the left foot. But it doesn't seem to do you any favors to progress in the boulder anyway. So
yeah, I think you get stuck in that position. Meanwhile, we had Noé opting for the foot plant with the left foot in the starting handhold. You can see her shaking her shoulder though each time as she comes off. We have seen that method work, although less commonly than going across rightwards and putting the right foot toe hook.
Luca just looking a little bit dejected there. I think he knows his time's almost up in this competition, and this being his 4th boulder, he can't really do much more work to get himself off the bottom of the leaderboard in this finals. we're just seeing, really how far Lily's had to move through the wall to secure that penultimate hold, and she did it in great fashion. Yeah, look at that. Really pleased with her performance on that boulder, and a little bit relieved as well.
Yeah, happy with that. And this is that first move on Nikolai. I mean, I love it when these coordination moves, when you have an athlete just make it look so smooth and so easy.
Yeah.
But it is far from smooth or easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the opposite. So, we should have Jonathan Katz on men's 3. And on men's 4 we have Artur Rubolo, who is effectively fighting for the win. Nikolai, of course, remains in waiting to have his attempts on men's 4. But it's Artur's turn to try and secure his 4th top of the competition.
And Jonathan on boulder number 3, to some extent, essentially on this boulder, fighting to stay in contention with Artur and Nikolai.
Anastasia putting some serious energy into these first attempts, but not securing herself up on the wall, just choosing to brush her holds and try and improve the conditions on those holds for herself in the next attempt. Wow, powerful single-handed move there. Excellent work. Yeah, he's quite a broad climber, isn't he? And he's got a good wingspan. And he's actually controlling himself in compression on that zone hold and crossing through.
That position.
Yeah. With nothing under your feet other than a smooth volume surface. No screw-on footholds.
Yeah, essentially really high on an undercut with no footholds.
Yeah, the athletes we've seen land men's 4 seem to do it in with such flair and such style, but then you can see from these athletes such as Artur, who we've got on men's 4 at this time, you can see how frustrated he is with his body language now, trying to visualize these moves. I mean, he's already looking at the top of the boulder, perhaps because he's so frustrated with the start. He hasn't completed that start sequence yet.
Jonathan back on.
Wow, he's maybe running out of power. He needs to give it a rest for a moment and recharge the batteries as we have a look at Monsieur Rubolo gaining his swing and hopefully landing his feet. Oh, look at him.
Yeah.
He's really motivated to get these moves done, but he's only got a minute and 15 left on the clock to execute this first swing and catch sequence.
We have seen this boulder, when you get it done, it is a fast one. It takes about 20 seconds to climb. So he has got time to do it, but he hasn't got time to rest.
Oh, beautiful top here from the athlete from Ukraine, Anastasia Kobets. That's great for her competition. She sat in second, and she now has 3 tops. As we switch back to Jonathan Katz here on men's 3, can he power through this section? No, he's out of time, surely. 30 seconds left. We know it's become a low percentage move for him at the start, and I think just off screen we've seen Monsieur Rubolo top men's 4. Have I spoke too soon? No, I haven't. We are seeing that this being his 5th attempt, he's managed to get into a static position on the right-hand side of the wall and just blast through the top. Catching the sloper with an undercut and compression on the smooth upper side, and look at what that means to him. He's absolutely revved.
Well, that is a very significant top, because that does put him in first place at the moment.
Yeah, and he's on 99.2 points, and we have Nikolai sitting in 3rd with 74.1.
Which I think means he has secured first place.
Yep.
If Nikolai takes a flash on men's number 4, that will give him 99.1.
Exactly.
So Artur cannot be caught.
Wow, congratulations to him. Yeah. What a way to finish the comp as well. I mean, it looked like he'd had more goes than 5, if I'm honest. He's obviously 4 minutes into his time and just managed it at the very end of that 4-minute period. I would have thought there would have been more than 5 goes on the books, but no. Excellent work from him. Must have had a very tactical approach. Knew he could get it done, or hoped he could get it done, and took the right amount of rest in between those attempts.
And in the women's, Lily can secure the win with a zone, and she does have a number of attempts to do that. Or Nikolai very close to securing the zone then on his second go, so he's definitely learning that movement. I think we're going to see him get a score on that boulder pretty soon.
So let's take a little closer look at Lily. She has 74.6 points, and our leader at present, Anastasia, has 84.2.
I think that is now a win for Lily, regardless of what happens.
So with those points from the zone, Alex is calculating that shoots her up into first place, and it does. She is now sitting in first place on 84.4, ahead of Anastasia with 84.2. So she's done enough, but knowing the way and she has reacted to any moments of anything other than pure success, she will want to also get this 4th boulder topped, and I'm sure we'll have a look at her momentarily as we watch Nikolai crush this boulder with 2 minutes remaining. So much faster work from him than Artur, but it doesn't catapult him to the top of the leaderboard. He hasn't done enough to take the win, but he is very safe in second place with 4 tops.
Yeah, so just Guillermo can be beaten. He can be pushed off the podium by Jonathan, but Jonathan will have to top to do that. Meanwhile, Lily fighting to be the only woman to top all 4 boulders. She's already got the win, so this one's for pride, I guess.
Choosing a very static method. Yes, I mean, she's capable of that. I'm sure she is. But is she capable of it in the allotted time? She only has a minute remaining on the clock. I wonder whether she will return to that method, or whether she will try a more dynamic method, which is what we have seen lead to success for the rest of the athletes. Or athletes.
French coaching team there looking on. I'm sure they'll be just as pleased as her to see their athlete winning.
So Lily is the last person on the mats here in this under 21 category at Aerobia climbing in Bergamo, Italy. Lily just rushing that attempt and missing the toe hook. She wants to get another go prior to her time running out. 25 seconds left. You can hear the atmosphere in the room at Aerobia sort of building for her to top this boulder. Everybody wants to see it happen, I'm sure.
This will be her last attempt, I think.
Oh wow, she sticks to the dynamic method, and with a quick right-left, doesn't get enough of the left hand to secure the top. And yeah, we focus in on her teammates and coaches, who are extremely pleased for her and will know that she's already taken the win, I'm sure. Impressive work from her. That's the only boulder that got away.
Okay, so now we have Jonathan as coming back out as the only athlete on the mats, and he is fighting for a place on the podium. But in order to get that, he will have to top this boulder. A zone will not be enough.
Wow. Choosing to initiate the swing with 2 hands in the opposite direction, and then letting it off to 1. Impressive work, but I'm not sure that's the right way, and he's obviously approaching it with his hands in the opposite direction on this occasion. So, yeah, first attempt not looking as promising as maybe this. Oh, nice. Yeah, just too far from the wall, but yeah, it looks like he's got the measure of what he needs to do.
Pausing to catch his breath. Quite draining, the starts of these boulders. It's you know, swinging around on that jug, not in terms of a grade, not a very hard thing to do, but still quite aerobic, quite draining.
Yeah, tensing everything, aren't you? You know, you're engaging your core to a massive degree, using your legs, and then you've got to make a very delicate and accurate snatch of those holds whilst your feet end up in the correct positions on those purple volumes. It's there's a lot to take in after making such a physical start.
It's a little bit like going to try a boulder immediately after doing 5 or 6 chin-ups.
Exactly, and yeah, 10 or 20 crunches. Let's implement that in our own training. Sounds like a good plan. Oh, this is not my home, this kind of a boulder. Yeah.
Yeah, that slippery foothold, that first big purple one, only 1 point of texture on there. So if you miss it, it's going to slide around, whereas that time looked like he landed the feet just right, just didn't quite get over into the handholds quite enough.
Yep. Yeah, he looks like he had time to place that foot, the left foot, in the part with the texture, and it looked like a more controlled and a more likely effort. Maybe you can repeat that another 2 or 3 times and give himself the chance of climbing the upper section of this boulder.
You can see how hard he's breathing, you know, compared to their attempts on a slab where it wouldn't get the heart like going that fast. This one, very physical.
So remember, Jonathan was our competitor from the semi-final round, which qualified him first, and he will really want to try and take that podium place if he can, to avoid slipping from first to right down the field as he initiates the swing again on this boulder. And that looked less likely than the previous attempt, I have to say. Yeah, as the clock runs down, he's getting a bit frustrated, is he not?
I think he's getting tired.
Yeah, a lot of attempts.
Long 3 days of climbing.
Yeah, already 7 attempts under his belt on this boulder with 50 seconds remaining. We can see the leaderboard on the right-hand side now. You can see where he resides. Down in 5th place with 2 tops and 1 zone and a total of 59.7 points.
Come on, Jonathan.
Still has time. Oh, and I thought, yeah, we didn't really quite catch a view of the handholds there, but it looked like he might have stopped on that for a moment.
Looked like that go encouraged him, because he went back on very quickly then.
He's really initiating in a very dynamic way, and he looks very determined despite there being very few seconds left on the clock. Look at him gritting his teeth, fighting to initiate that swing quickly. He wants that zone at least. Ah, die.
Unfortunately, just out of time.
Yeah, he takes a bow, and he must be appreciating all the encouragement he's had from the audience here at Arobia.
As we his all on that boulder.
Yeah, he absolutely did. He can't be disappointed with the amount of output there. So let's just look at our women's ranking here. This is the leaderboard from the finals of the under-21 categories. We have Lilia Bret from France with 3 tops and 1 zone, followed by Anastasia Kobets from Ukraine with 3 tops and 1 zone, but just with more attempts on the board than Lily. And then as we move down the rankings, the podium is made up of Isa Almendros from Spain with 69.5. Then we have Luna Deschays from France in 4th, Martina Bersikova from Slovakia in 5th. We have Lena Funa from Slovenia in 6th, Ruby Danziger from Israel in 7th, and Noé Lusa from Switzerland in last place in this finals, 8th position. And then for the men, we have Artur Ribolo managing the 4 tops and in less attempts with a score of 99.2, putting him just a nick ahead of Nikolai Rusiev. Not as close as I thought it might be, but he did manage 4 tops, but just all those attempts chipping away at his score and putting him in 98.8. And then Guillermo Frangillo from Spain with 83.8 makes up the podium for the men. And then Slav is just outside of the podium with 68.7. And then we had Jonathan Katz from Israel in 5th, Rhys Conlon from Great Britain in 6th, Toma Jakubovic from Israel in 7th, and finally Luca Baldrini in 8th. Thanks for joining us for this under-21s finals here at Arobia in Bergamo. And we will be back on the mats in a different part of the wall with the under-17 category in, for us, maybe 30 minutes to an hour. For you, it might be a matter of seconds. Thanks for joining us, and we will speak to you shortly.
See you soon.